Welcome to the Sexual Wellness Podcast, real life conversations with industry experts on modern sexuality and how to live a happy, healthy, turned on life. I'm your host, Laura Allen, founder of New Zealand's leading sexual wellness store and holistic sex, love, and life coach, passionately guiding women to expand their pleasure in and outside the bedroom. Welcome back to the Sexual Wellness Podcast. Such a stunning day here in Auckland. I'm absolutely loving this change in season. The mornings are crisp and cool, and I go outside and I dip my toes into the dewy grass and enjoy a new jumper and feel the cold on my skin as the sun is rising, and it's just delightful. I would also be completely oblivious to not share or to not even mention all of this corona madness that is going around right now, and it's pretty big. It's a pretty big deal. I gotta say, I've definitely been staying on the outskirts of it and not subscribing to any of the fear, the panic, and keeping my feet very firmly on the ground. But as I start to do more and more research, and as it starts to really infiltrate a lot of the communities that I am surrounded by, I have decided to present a little bit of an insight onto how I feel we can cope with this space and time of self-isolation and all of this change and uncertainty that we're approaching, because I feel there's so much anxiety in the air, there's so much fear in the air. And I can't help but be outrageously optimistic about what's going on, even though I know that the circumstances are not ideal, and there are so many communities being affected by this that aren't as privileged as I am, and we're going to get to that a little bit later. But for those of us who are in a position where, we're needing to stay at home and self-isolate and go through that process, I wanted to bring to you a couple of ideas to help you get the most out of your time. Now, this is not actually what the podcast is about. The podcast is about something really juicy and awesome, but I'm just going to super quickly go through a couple of points that might be of service to you. So, you're going to be at home. Slow down, enjoy the slower pace of life. I feel like this whole experience is, forgive me for being so woo-woo, but come on. It's like the universe is just kicking us in the ass and telling us all to stop. I feel like this is our opportunity to give the planet, Mother Earth, a great big hug and self-care. All of these airlines are being grounded. There is so much space and peace and quiet in the world, and this is an amazing opportunity for everyone to stop and take pause and come back to ourselves. This is good, guys. This is what we want. So many people are working from home. So many people are learning about new ways to connect and interact with each other. Communities are coming together and finding new ways to relate and to nurture each other without the constant sort of going throughout life. There is so much anticipation about the future and the economy and our job status and all of that kind of stuff. And these fears are really relevant because there is going to be an aftermath to this. But I think it's also a really beautiful opportunity to get creative and really feel into what it is that you want to be doing, because this isn't the end. This is the beginning of an opportunity to be made the most of. And when you're at home, take this time to relax, to breathe, to catch up on all your digital online courses, to meditate, to journal, to dance, to cook beautiful food, to learn guitar, to paint, to sing, to do all of these things that you always want to do, but you're just a little too busy to do them. Not anymore. Not anymore. Get all of your hobbies. Surround yourself with so much love and nourishment that you can really, truly make the most out of this time. I think it's really important to take precaution and take precautions seriously, but to not get too caught up in the panic and keep our feet in the ground, stay realistic about what we actually need to be doing and how we need to be responding to this crisis, because it's about responding from a grounded place, from an educated place, and not reacting and really getting sucked into all of the fear and panic that is going around at the moment as well. So precaution, not panic. And in light of all that is going on, I'm going to be bringing to you a course next week. It's called Heart Space, and it is about keeping our heart and our lungs open, magnetic, healthy, and alive. Super, super important for this time, because coronavirus is all about the lungs and the heart space. And this is what we are needing to connect with more people. Seriously, we need to come back into our hearts, out of our heads. The reason why we're getting landed at home is because we need to stop being in our heads so much and come back down into our hearts. And so I'm going to be releasing a course. It's going to be super dope and I'm super excited. So it's pretty much all about staying in your turn on. It's about magnetism, especially in a changing climate. You know, it's scary. So how can we keep our heart open and our eyes open and our mind open to new opportunities, new creative ways to relate, to earn money, to be ourselves and still be a part of what is going on? So there's going to be lots of journaling, workbooks, prompts and tasks. There's going to be an element of the fundamentals of self-pleasure and orgasmic breath work in there. There's going to be so much breath work, you guys, helping you keep your lungs open, oxygenated, and super vibrant and healthy. It's also, in essence, just going to be so much about connecting deeply to self so that you can live a heart-ruled, pleasure-fueled life and adapt to any climate that is going to be coming our way. So keep an eye out. That's going to be launching next week. So, Okay, you guys, back into the main event, which is this episode, and it's going to be about attracting and creating a relationship that you actually want. Okay, really important that I said that in that, like actually want, because there is a stereotype cookie cutter template of what relationships should look like. But to be honest, they're pretty old school. They're sort of like not really serving a lot of modern philosophies, and also they're not really lining up with the way that we live our lives now. Let's think about it. It was only 50 years ago that women were still very much financially, emotionally dependent on men. But now we're living in a time where we're actually coming to relationship as equal individuals. Okay, look, not everywhere, but this is what I'm speaking to right now. We're coming into a relationship as equal individuals. And so that is going to have a really strong impact on how we actually want to relate in relationships. No longer does the marriage together forever and we do everything together and this codependent framework, it's becoming very old school and old style and unhealthy, and we're constantly learning and relearning and really observing in the data out there that style of relationship is actually no longer working for modern humans. So what we're going to be talking about today is really getting down to your core values and understanding who you truly are and what you truly need. Not what you think you need, not what society kind of subconsciously makes you think that you need. Because that's the thing. There's this almost subconscious pressure that we put on ourselves to paint our relationship picture in a certain way. But when we do really stop and tune in with our values and understand what it is that makes us happy in relationship, it can actually look really, really different. And there's a whole lot of stuff that can come up with that. You know, there's jealousy, there's insecurity, there's fear, because that old style of relationship, that really codependent, it's you and I together forever against the world forever, like we do everything together, that sort of vibe, that kind of feels safe because you've got such a tight grip on the other person and you're so together that can really, make you feel safe in a certain way. But it doesn't bring you true safety. True safety and true freedom comes from when you can really let each other be in the world, when you can actually let your partner go and trust and know that they're coming back to you from a place of choice, not from a place of should. That is what I guess New Age love, New Age relationships is all about. Interdependence instead of codependency. It's where you can both thrive as individuals and support and love each other for who you both really are. And feel the fear, feel the jealousy, like, oh, I know that I can't keep you here forever. I know that you're not the kind of person who's just gonna, bend at the knee to my every command. I know that you are an individual and you're always going to stand up for the things that you want in your life. And I know that I'm always going to support you in doing that. And that feels scary. That feels so scary because what if? It's okay to feel that. But it's also so beautiful to know that you're in a relationship that encourages true freedom and true sovereignty and true choice and true trust. The trust in that is immense. And it's that level of trust that breeds the strongest, deepest, most profound, pussy opening love. Oh, I'm getting excited just talking about it. So the first thing I wanted to bring up is really understanding where you stand currently, because it changes all throughout your life, on, monogamy, monogamish, polyamory, open relating, and everything and everywhere in between. I've just listed off a couple of different frameworks that are, I guess, in the mainstream, but you don't even necessarily have to fit into any one of those. What do you need deep in your body to feel really expansive in your relationship? It's different for every single person and it changes and evolves as you go throughout life. But it's really important to get clear on what it is that is serving you right now and what it is that you want. Because if you are wishy-washy and grey zone about it, then you're going to attract wishy-washy and grey zone about it too. And that's just not fun. Get clear, get direct. Really take the time to experiment and understand what you need to get your intimacy needs met in and outside of the relationship. Gone are the days where where the common belief is that your partner should be the one to fulfill every single need. Your therapist, your best friend, your lover, your partner, your colleague, your everything, and you do everything together and gone are the days where those kind of expectations are realistic on a relationship. So for you, how do you see your intimate relationships looking outside of your relationship? Do you like to be affectionate with your girlfriends? I'm not talking in a sexual way. I'm talking, do you like to cuddle and be naked around each other? Or, do you like to spend time together cuddling up and watching movies in bed? How else do you get your needs for touch and connection and physical intimacy met outside of your relationship in a way that feels safe for you? And it's important to establish that for yourself first, because then you will attract someone who matches that. And get really clear on what these boundaries look like for you, because it's so often the really finer, subtle details that can make the biggest difference. So the more clear you are and the more specific you are, the more clear you're going to be on how to create the relationship that you're actually truly wanting, not what other people think that you should be having. Now, I've just used that one particular example, but there are many, many examples out there. So just feel into what it means for you. What does intimacy outside of the relationship look like for you? What feels comfortable and good and healthy for you? Because it is important. We're human beings. We all need physical intimacy, emotional intimacy period in our life. It's what enhances connection and our sense of belonging in the world. And to expect to only get that in our primary relationship isn't healthy. So what are the ways that you can find healthy intimacy outside of your relationship that is in alignment with your values? So the next point I want to bring to you, I've got 5. So this is point number 2, is time spent. How much time do you want to spend with your partner? Now, you don't need to be as rigid. It's not like you need to write a roster or anything like that. But I guess the sort of old paradigm of relationships, especially like marriage and when you've got kids and all that kind of stuff, is that you move in together and you buy a house together and you live together forever until you die. Do you really want that? You might really want that, and that's amazing. If that is what you want, go hard for it. But at the same time, there's a lot of case studies out there. There's a lot of data that presents that when couples spend time apart or live in separate households, they actually have much more desire and intimacy and success long term than those that live together. I know, it's radical. I think a big thing that happens in relationships, especially if you've got codependent tendencies, is that it's so easy to lose yourself in relationship. And it's so natural. It's human. Of course, you love your partner. You want to spend all the time with them. It's like, oh, I just can't get enough of you. I freaking love the shit out of you. It's so natural to want to like merge and be with that other person. And the trick is to finding ways that you can really be with your partner. So I'm not bringing up these suggestions to cause distance or separation. I'm bringing up these suggestions to perhaps stir curiosity within you of different ways that you can maintain your sense of self so that you are continuing to come to the relationship from a place of fullness within yourself. It's super important. And so when it comes to time spent, like the default setting is to eventually, down the road, move in together, see each other every single day, and so on and so forth. But is that your truth? Perhaps you do want to live with your partner, but perhaps you want to have your own room in that house. A room that is yours, where it's your things, where you can do your practice in the morning in silence. Perhaps that's something that you want. Perhaps you do want to live in separate houses, or perhaps you want to move in together, but have certain boundaries around time spent with friends and time spent away and, working from home or working away and things like that, so that you are actually encouraging and supporting each other to uphold and maintain those important relationships outside of your primary relationship, as well as the relationship with yourself. Super duper important. Continuing to make time for yourself when you're in relationships so that you can do all those self-care things, so that you can have that reflection time, so that you can be deeply in tune with your intuition and you can make real decisions from your heart and all of that kind of stuff. things can start to get really messy when we have a lot of other energies in our space all the time. We can start to forget, where you end and where the other person begins. Boundaries become murky and grey. Emotions become murky and grey and merged. So to actually create and cultivate healthy time apart so that you can continue to water your own cups, your own garden, I guess, like water your own garden of love and integrity and self-awareness and intuition, so that once again you are coming into the relationship from a place of fullness and groundedness and awareness. How much time do you really want to spend? If you're not living together, again, the default setting is, maybe 2-3 weekdays and then the entire weekend, or, there is these like sneaky social templates on what couples do when they're in a relationship when it comes to how much time they spend together. But really actually be aware of how you feel when you're spending that much time with the other person. You might feel great, and that's awesome. Or you have been feeling great up to a certain point, but you're now going through a period where you want a little bit more time to yourself. Take that, communicate that. Say, hey, I'm feeling like I might actually just want to spend a little more time with myself to sort of recharge and re-nourish, come back to myself, and then we'll reassess in a certain amount of time, or however you want to communicate it. But it's so important that we understand that there are no rules. There are no rules. You get to make the rules. You and your partner get to create a relationship that is actually working for you both. So if you're spending all this time together and you're sort of fighting or arguing, or, things are sort of feeling a little bit tense, or you're lacking a little bit of desire or what have you and so on, then take stock, notice that. What do we need to create more harmony in our relationship? Perhaps it's space, perhaps it's something else, but the thing is that you get to create the rules on your own. And just because you want to create space or anything like that does not mean that your relationship is a failure because it doesn't fit the mold of commercial, socially acceptable relationship templates. No. This is your life, and together it's important that you're actually really tuned into what is true for the two of you and what is actually working for the two of you. Another point I wanted to bring to you, and this is a little bit of a controversial one, is impermanence. Things change. Things always change. And it's really, I believe, beautiful to get to a place where you can be at peace with and accept a level of impermanence in your relationship. And that might actually be coming to the terms with the fact that your relationship might look different one day. Perhaps you'll be journeying together on the same path for a really long time. Perhaps you'll have a family, a home, all of these things. But there's also another truth that can be really scary to admit, and that is impermanence, and that people change and things change. In relationship, we have so much desire to hold on to it and to control the future of it so that you never have to part. You never want to lose this person. And I absolutely understand, because it can be devastating. But I want to invite you to just feel into what it would feel like just for a second, to relax in the knowing that people and things do change, and you actually don't need to hold so tightly onto the reins. Because if you are creating a love environment so beautiful and so nourishing and so free, then you are creating an environment that your partner and you are going to choose to come back to over and over again. Not because you have to, and not because you are in this unspoken binding contract that you need to be together forever. The success of a relationship does not depend on its length. The success of the relationship depends on how you feel within it every single day. And I know that that is a big piece to wrap the head around. And there's going to be a lot of you out there who are probably triggered by that and don't resonate with it. And that's totally fine. But I know in my own experience and in the experience of a lot of people in my community and within some of my clients, is that when we can actually get to a place of so much self-worth within ourselves and love for ourselves and acceptance for ourselves, when we know that we are worthy of love, deeply worthy of love, and we know that we can trust ourselves, and we know that we trust our partners, and we know that we trust love. We trust it. We know that we can act in integrity. We're not going to hurt other people. That is when you can really start to be in this freedom of relationship. How freeing is it to know that you will always be supported and you will always support your partner in pursuing the things that light them up the most, regardless of what that's going to mean for your unity. It's scary, but oh my God, that is the deepest sense of trust that you can establish. And you would be surprised at the love that breeds from that. It's the letting go that creates the closeness. It's the working on the jealousy and the fear and the scared little girl or little boy inside you that just like wants the togetherness, wants the closeness. But nurturing and mothering and looking after it and say, I love you, I've got you. We're totally loved, we're totally lovable. All of that inner child nurturing stuff that you hear about in psychology today. All of that stuff so that you can show up in the deepest trust and love for your partner. Seriously, I've got whole body goosebumps and like I can even feel myself getting aroused just by thinking about it, because it is that level of integrity, trust and love that turns me the fuck on. I'm not interested in jealousy and possessiveness and codependency and all of that kind of stuff. It doesn't serve, it suffocates. And I'm not here to say that relationships can't last forever, because oh my God, I'm going for that. I'm like totally into that, and I would work towards that every single day. But there's also an acceptance piece and knowing that I can't control everything, and I don't need to stress myself out and spiral into jealousy and control and micromanaging to get there. Mic drop. Okay. So the next point is sex. What are your values around sex? So earlier in this episode, we talked about, monogamy, monogamish, blah, 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 blah. So that's, perhaps having sex with other people and so on. So that's kind of another topic entirely. But in this particular point, I want to talk about what your sex values are. How much do you want to prioritize sex in your relationship? So I'm like, you can say, yeah, sure, I want to have it like 2-3 times a week, whatever. And of course, again, these things will change and grow throughout life. But how much do you really want to prioritize the sex and intimacy in your relationship? Because I know for me, it's big. And I don't want to just have a fuck 2-3 times a week. I want to literally be with someone who wants to put entire weekends aside that is devoted to making love in and outside of the bedroom. I want to be with someone who understands that when orgasm ends, foreplay begins. I want to be with someone who understands that how we interact with each other all day is crucial to our sexual relationship. That's how much I want to prioritize sex. So those are my values. And again, they're different for everybody and they change throughout life. But even when you're busy, even when, you've got kids, there is still this is still an important part to pay attention to. And I'm not just talking about penetration. I'm talking about physical intimacy and connection with your partner. Even if you're in a space right now where you don't want to be having physical sex, how much are you wanting to prioritize the connection and intimacy that you have together? Because by establishing that and making that be known, that will determine, how you move forward in relationship, because it can be so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day and then simply exist together. But, making time for play and communicating and having it be known from the get-go always that this is a priority. This is a priority to me over this. I care about you, I care about our relationship, and I care about how I feel, I care about how you feel, I care about how we feel, and I want our relationship to be thriving, not surviving. And to do that, I want to play. I want to make so much white space in my calendar for you so that we can flow in pleasure together. I want to sing, I want to dance, I want to gaze into your eyes, I want to meditate with you. I want your cock to sit at the entrance of my vagina for an entire hour as we breathe together. I want you to know that even if we don't have sex for months, I am still going to prioritize our physical intimacy and connection. I'm not just going to let everything fade into a dull flame. I will continue to stoke the embers of my turn on for myself and for us. Those are my values. This is how I live my life. And this is what I want to prioritize for myself and with you. So it takes a little bit of time to understand what that looks like for you. What does that mean for you? What do you want to prioritize? What is true for you? Everyone has a different relationship to their sexuality. And what do you want within that? And so my final point is growth and development. I do feel like this is really, really important. So just because, say, perhaps you're into spiritual growth or personal development or, religion or spiritual, like whatever it looks like for you, it doesn't necessarily mean to say that the other person needs to be into the same thing as you or style as you, because there is no better or, more enlightened or more woke or any of that shit. That's like that kind of hierarchy just doesn't exist. What's more important is, what is your relationship to personal development? And, what are your needs? What are your needs in a relationship for that person to meet you in that? Because if you are constantly growing and evolving and changing and learning and doing all of these things, but your other partner is completely uninterested, then that can cause a lot of indifference between the two of you. And so again, it's about understanding what is true for you and what you need so that you can attract someone who will be able to grow and meet you in that space regardless of, the framework that they do it under. Because if you're sort of, like I said before, if you're sort of constantly going to workshops and your partner's not a part of it, then that can create separation. And so how can you find ways to include the other person, whether it's together or in completely different realms, but still pay attention to what's there? Growth is super important in a relationship as well, because naturally you're both going to be growing and evolving in some way, shape, or form. And so getting really clear about what that looks like for you. And again, what are your priorities with it? How do you want to connect with each other and keep each other up to date? How do you want to communicate about where you're growing and evolving with each other? Is that looking like having little monthly lubbles? I call them lubbles, love bubbles, where you just check in with each other as and talk about gratitude with each other, or like, where you're growing, where you're wanting to expand into more together and as individuals. Like, what do you want to prioritize when it comes to personal growth in your relationship? Yeah, so I mean, like, there's so many more points that we could talk about. But when it comes to relationships, there's a million tools out there to help you understand the differences, because everyone is different. And when we engage in relationships, it's like this kind of constant learning and relearning how to relate to each other. And so there's, everyone has different communication styles. There's also the 5 love languages test that you can do online. There's a book about it that's a really powerful tool. There's Jaya's erotic blueprint, which is similar to the love languages, but for the bedroom. So if you are experiencing difficulties within your physical intimacy and not understanding exactly how to meet your partner, then doing something like that can be really, really empowering to help you better understand each other and what you may be needing in the bedroom. There's also different attachment styles. A simple Google will help you understand better the different styles and, what you might be, what your partner might be, what they might be needing to feel more secure in you, and so on and so forth. So there's so many tools out there to help us better understand each other and communicate in a way and get our needs met in a way that still makes the other person feel secure and loved and seen and all of that stuff. Because we have talked about some pretty controversial topics in here, I would say. And, there's steps to take to understanding, what that might mean for you, and then, what that might mean for another person. Yeah. Awesome. That's it from me today. Thanks so much. I love this podcast. This is probably one of my favorite ways to show up and serve my community. So yeah, thank you so much, guys. I've got heaps of cool stuff coming up in the future. So definitely subscribe, stay tuned. If you've got someone who you want me to interview on the show, send me a DM on my Instagram, which is _Laura_Allen. That's ELLEN. And yes, just get in touch whenever you want. Thanks so much for listening, and I will be back with another episode super soon. If you enjoyed this episode, hit like and subscribe, or share it with someone who you feel could benefit from hearing it too. My mission is to bring healthy sexuality to the mainstream, so be sure to leave your 5-star review on your favorite podcasting app, because that way this content can land in the ears of those who need it the most. If you're looking for more resources on how to live a turned-on life, check out my website at www.laura-allen.com, where you'll find events, coursework, free downloadable workbooks, as well as my coaching packages. And lastly, I want to thank you for taking the time to prioritize yourself in this exquisite way, because when we do, that's when we can really start to show up for the rest of the world. And until next time, thank you so much for listening, and I'll be back with another episode soon.